Have you ever looked at a ChatGPT or a Perplexity answer and thought, why on earth is it citing a random blog and not mine? Listen, you're not alone. Marketers tell me this constantly. Reddit is full of these questions, and everywhere you keep tabs of content marketing news, well, it's the same story. And here's the big secret that nobody told us at the start of AI engines becoming popular. AI citations aren't random. They feel random because we can't see the decision-making process under the hood, and these AI companies are not going to tell us how it works. But once you look at enough answers, you start to understand how these engines work and what they look for. Then it's patterns, and those patterns become, well, predictable. And this is exactly why the FSA framework exists. Hey, I'm Cassie Clark, fractional content strategist for early stage startups and the host of the Found an AI podcast, where I break down what's happening inside of AI search so you don't get lost in it. Today, we're talking about the FSA framework, which is a simple, practical model for generative engine optimization, or GEO, that helps your brand show up inside AI answers consistently, and sometimes almost instantly, if you count an 8-ish hour long lag. Instant, which I do. I'll talk about it more in a minute. So if you've ever wondered why some tiny websites with a domain authority of like 4 get cited over the industry giants, well, we're going to explain it right now. So let's just jump right into it. Over the last several months, Gemini and ChatGPT and Perplexity have shifted from these cute conversational tools into like full-blown discovery engines. And while that might have not been the intended use case, that's exactly where these models are heading. People use them in the same way they used to use Google. They're asking questions and prompting queries like, hey, what does this thing mean? Or, hey, compare these tools, or give me recommendations for, and my personal favorite, explain this to me like I'm 5. Marketers started noticing this shift when AI engines were sending over the traffic and Google, well, just wasn't. So for a while, AI search kind of felt optional. It kind of felt like a future thing, a thing we'll just keep an eye on. But then on December 4th, 2025, Google quietly replaced the classic search button on their homepage with a new default button, which is AI mode. So as of this recording, there have been no press releases, no keynotes, no cycle hype, nothing. Just a subtle nudge into this new era that we're suddenly all moving into. You can still reach the traditional Google search, but it's no longer the default. It's like under the search bar. And so honestly, the message is pretty clear. AI search is now the primary discovery experience. Traditional search is the fallback. So this has been the biggest shift in search behavior since like 1998. And it's where the FSA framework becomes crucial, because SEO alone will not get you inside of those AI answers. So let me just say this clearly. Traditional search and AI search are not the same thing. SEO helps you rank in Google's index, like the traditional index, and that absolutely still matters because people, particularly like the older demographic, they still use Google. But AI engines, well, they don't rank anything. They're not scanning those keywords, and they don't really love like clever metaphors or fluffy 800-word intros. These AI engines are doing 3 things consistently across all of the models. They synthesize meaning, they extract usable chunks, and then they match those chunks to the intent of the user's question. So while keywords are helpful for Google, not so much for AI. What matters is structure and clarity. I say this all the time. And this is where marketers get frustrated, because traditional SEO wisdom doesn't really explain why one brand gets cited and another is just ignored completely. So instead of treating AI like a mysterious black box, based on my research and experiments and what I've seen from others, we can kind of narrow it down to 3 factors that matter most. And those things are freshness, structure, and authority. That's the FSA framework. The FSA framework is a content marketing concept for generative engine optimization, or GEO, if that's what you want to call it. This framework is going to help you influence how AI engines choose their sources, going to help you understand why certain brands get cited and others are not. And it's going to help you build like predictable visibility inside of those AI answers based on what we know right now. So to be clear, it's not a replacement for SEO. It's just the visibility layer stacked on top of what you're already doing for SEO. So let's break down each part, starting with freshness. So freshness is simply answers the question, how recent and actively maintained is your content on your website? AI engines heavily favor content that looks like it's been recently updated, that looks like it's a new piece, and, well, if it just looks alive. Not like Frankenstein, but just alive. Freshness is essentially like the heartbeat of your entire website. And this is why you can publish a new blog post at 10:30 p.m. on a Thursday night and get cited in a Google AI Overview by 5:30 the next morning, and get cited by Perplexity by 6:01 a.m., which is probably sooner. I just didn't have my glasses on. But yeah, that actually happened when I published the blog post explaining the FSA framework. The AI engine sniffed that out instantly, picked it up, and then started citing it within their answers, which was pretty cool to see actually. So here are a few freshness signals that AI engines likely care about based on what we know. Number 1, recently updated content on the topic. Number 2, new related pieces from within the last 3 to 6 months. 3, active site behavior like new pages, revised content, or updated schema. 4, recency in your sitemaps in the feeds. And 5, recent brand mentions elsewhere, like on Reddit or review sites. So freshness doesn't really mean going in there and changing the published date and calling it done. Fresh means like meaningfully updated. And the best part is you don't have to rewrite everything from scratch. Instead, just go in, rotate your updates across your topic clusters, maybe add in some updated stats or example sections, add in 2026 update sections, which is important since 2026 is almost here. Update whenever your product or space changes. And that's it. AI engines reward what feels current and maintained, and they punish what looks abandoned. So this is why those older blog posts are basically invisible in AI search. You gotta go in there and update them. So let's move into structure, the S of the FSA framework. Structure is how clean, clear, and machine-readable your content is. AI engines don't read content like people. They can't really pick up on your vibe. I mean, they hallucinate, but that's not really the same thing. Instead, these engines are scanning for definitions. They're looking for those clear headers. They're looking for short paragraphs. They really like one idea per section. They love the list. Basically, they're looking for extractable chunks. In other words, AI engines love content that looks like it was written for a very tired, very overworked machine and very tired, very overworked person. So think of structure as your extractability. Can an AI engine extract or lift your definition of something, whatever you're talking about, without needing context from the paragraph above or below? So if the answer is yes, then you're creating AI-friendly content. But if not, that means we need to change the structure around a little bit. So common structural patterns that I've noticed these engines love, again, is those clear H2s and H3s that mirror actual user prompts, shorter paragraphs, definitions at the very top, steps in list, and tables and comparison blocks. Now, tiny confession. As a writer, I have absolutely created content that is a structural nightmare. I love a big fluffy intro. I love a clever metaphor, and you name it, I've done it. But these AI engines really hate that. So thankfully, there's an easy fix for your old content. I've been doing this. Just go in, add a definition call out at the top of a section, rewrite the headings as questions, break up the steps into lists, and then add a key takeaway section. The rest can be your narrative. Structure is the easiest thing in the FSA framework to fix, and it has the fastest payoff because it sets off those freshness signals, which then feeds back into the F of the FSA framework. So finally, we have authority. The authority is what the AI model knows about you. Now, to be clear, this is not domain authority like we're used to with traditional SEO. Instead, it's entity strength. Basically, this boils down to how often your name or brand appears to a specific topic across things like your own website, external sites, podcast, or your social profiles. If you think about it like the AI engine having a library, the more books you put on the AI model's shelf, the more likely it's going to foil you when someone asks a question that directly fits within your lane. So to give off those authority signals, here's what we need to do. Consistently publish on a narrow set of topics across your website, get cited or mentioned by others on third-party sites, update your author bios in your about pages to clearly signal your expertise, and this is across websites if you have them on multiple, add in that structured author data, and show up on other platforms like podcast, guest posts, webinars, YouTube, just wherever. And here is the absolute best news of all of this. You do not need a big site to build authority. You don't. As I've talked about on my podcast and on my blog, I outrank SEMrush inside of ChatGPT answers constantly. And that's not because my domain authority is bigger. It's like 2. But because my entity is stronger for the query or the prompt. Authority doesn't come from volume, it comes from depth. So now that we know it works, we need to talk about how we diagnose our content to see if it shows up inside of these answers. So here's a simple test any marketer, any brand owner, anyone can run. First, we're going to pick a query where you think you should be cited. Then we're going to run it through ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. We're going to take note of who's cited. Then we're going to compare content. So that means asking, are they fresher? Is their structure cleaner? Do they look like a bigger authority on this topic? Go stalk their social profiles. It's fine. Just go look. So this is going to be your roadmap for all of this. And pro tip, people don't write AI prompts with just one keyword. Charlie Graham told me on a recent episode of the Found in AI podcast that chatbot users use longer 12-word prompts. Charlie Graham is the founder of Rivalcy, by the way. So go test and see what your audience is actually saying based on what they would actually say. And because I'm all about sharing results and learning in real time, it's time for an update on why I know this works. So in August 2025, I ran the prompt to recommend a fractional content strategist for my Series A startup, and guess what? It did not appear anywhere, not even close to that top 5. Not ChatGPT, not Perplexity, not Gemini, and nowhere. So I made it my mission to change that. And I did that by applying the FSA Framework. So I went out and I created fresh content. I added structured data and clear definitions. I tightened my positioning on my website and LinkedIn. And then I used one definitive descriptor everywhere, which is Cassie Clark as a fractional content strategist for Series A, B startups. And then I started intentionally showing up on multiple platforms. This is why I have a podcast and why I'm here on YouTube now. And within weeks, I was showing up in all 3 engines. Now, my domain authority didn't move. Like I said, it's listed 2. And my backlink profile, it didn't change any. So what that tells me is the FSA framework did the heavy lifting here. And the biggest takeaway of all of this is that smaller brands can absolutely do the same and appear inside of those answers with some consistent effort. AI answers aren't random, but they can be influenced by freshness, structure, and authority. So if your brand isn't showing up yet, this is fixable. No need to panic. We're going to start with the most important topics on your website and work on one FSA core principle at a time. If what's happening over here and what I'm seeing is the truth, these AI engines will start pulling you into the conversation. Hey, if you want more experiments and breakdowns like this, subscribe. Go listen to the Found in AI podcast. I drop a new episode over there every week. And if you want help making your brand show up in AI engines, head to CassieClarkMarketing.com. In tiny PSA, I'm kicking around the idea of creating a mini course, like a checklist kind of thing, on applying the FSA framework to your own website. So if you want early access, hop on the email list and I'll send it your way as soon as it's live. The link is in the video description. And I will see you in the next video.